Hello, this is Cho of the Shiny Colors Discord, and welcome back to another episode of the Shiny Review. Today we're taking a look at the 4th Twilights Collection banner featuring Madoka and Asahi. Keep in mind, of course, that because they're Twilights Collection, they will be coming back in the future. We don't know when exactly, but they will. However, the pickup rate for these cards is going to drop significantly starting from the 5th banner. So, if you want your extra copies, now is definitely the time to. Without any further ado, let's get into it, starting with Madoka. As Shiny quickly figures out that Twilight's Collection needs to print them more money, and we approach the end of the year, we have decided to open the floodgates and release a limited Christmas Madoka that feels like pandering to the highest degree. The card story seems pretty good for the most part, it just seems a little odd, but I guess it's the whole holiday spirit kicking in. Twilight's Collection Madoka is a pure dance card that practically throws everything but the kitchen sink into her kit, from attention up, to interest down, memory gauge boosting, dance buffing, while still keeping the dance knock chill get hit more gimmick on top of all of this. Of note, Madoka does not become an attack all unit until she's fully maxed out, so don't expect her to be a super hard carry unless you plan on investing really deep. Each of her appeals synergize with an individual member of Nocchill, which is nice to see their partial link appeals being used in a smart way, I'd say. She's strong and the backbone for Dance Nocchill now, so if you plan on running that team, this card is a must and you absolutely have to go for it. Her roles are Center, Buffer, Attack All, Interest Down, Attention Up, also technically a Memory Gauge booster, and I highly to very highly recommend pulling for this Madoka. Madoka's initial appeal is a Dance 3.5 that raises your attention by 50% for 3 turns and your dance by 50% for 3 turns. The Link appeal, which only requires Hinata, gives you a Dance 30% buff up to 3 times for each attack received for 3 turns each. So, much like previous Nocchill cards, this means the maximum it can be is a 90% dance buff if you're hit 3 times. Each buff, depending on what turn you're hit, will last for 3 turns then. So if you're lucky, you can get all of them on 1 turn, or you kind of stagger them out. The 1-star appeal is a Dance 5.0 that raises your attention by 50% up for 3 turns, and lowers the judge's interest by 50% for 2 turns. The Link appeal, which requires Koito, is the same as the one above, the 30% dance buff for 3 turns per attack received up to 3 times. Her 4-star appeal is a Dance 1.0 to 5.0 that hits all judges and scales based on how high your attention is, and also applies a Dance 100% buff for 3 turns. The Link appeal, which only requires Toru, is the same as before. Dance 30% up for 3 turns per attack received up to 3 times. For her passives, her 1-star passive is a Dance 60% up that requires the turn count to be 2 or earlier, and it has a 30% chance to activate once. This also unlocks a Dance plus 150 uncap. At 2 stars, she gets a Dance 100% up and Memory Gauge 15% up as long as Toru is in your skill history. This has a 30% chance to activate once, and it also has a Vocal Dance Visual plus 100 uncap available as well. 3 stars, she gets her Dance 150% up that requires Koito and Hinata in her skill history, and has a 20% chance to activate twice. This comes with a Mental plus 200 uncap. Her 4-star passive is the Rainbow passive, which we'll go over in a moment, and it also unlocks a Vocal Dance Visual plus 100 uncap. Her memory appeal, when maxed out, is a Dance Maximum 3.0 appeal that scales based on how high your attention is, which then links into another Dance 3.0 appeal that scales based on how high your attention is. Madoka's Twilight's Collection passive is the same as all the others, a 5% buff to all of your members' appeal strength, and her Rainbow passive is a Dance 200% up that requires the full Nocchill lineup and the turn count to be 4 or later, which has a 30% chance to activate twice, and has a limit of being activated once per turn. Madoka's Rainbow passive is perfectly in line with how you would play Nocchill naturally. I really don't have much else to add about this passive, just play Dance Nocchill as you probably would, and this passive should ideally come up when you need it to. Right when you have your memory appeal ready to go, and if you have some attention up, then you're going to be hitting for a lot. I can't really comment on the Twilight's Collection passive at this point, as it's been the same so far now we're 4 banners deep. Either we get a new version of this passive in the next set, now that we have officially a vocal, dance, and visual version of this ability, or everyone's gonna get this until we hit the 2nd round for characters. So, yeah, let's look forward to that, I guess, in like 2030 or something. I have no idea. Twilight's Collection has not gotten any less expensive, so it's fair to consider that many may only have this Madoka at 0-star or 1-star. While naturally, Madoka has a ton of strength hidden behind her limit breaks, what you also have to consider is that she's a pretty good center that still works within the realm of Dance Nocchill without being the focal point. In fact, a lot of teams are just opting to run her as the center anyway. It's only when you get those later upgrades that the dynamic can shift around, letting Madoka do a ton of work in the dance position. For now, it seems like center seems to be the most ideal spot for her, but there is possibility for a flex space later. Madoka feels like a definite step up from the last Twilights Collection round, as many people have grown sort of indifferent to Fuyuko despite her strengths. And maybe it's just because visual Stray Light is in kind of a weirder spot, even though I think Dance Nocchill is an even worse spot. But when comparing to something like Mono and Kiriko, Madoka feels a lot more in line with them than she does with Fuyuko. Definitely worth the pickup for sure. On to our support recommendations, featuring the MVP of Cart Toru. Dance Nocchill lack a lot of pieces in a personal sense, so here we see our first instance of dance good stuff in a while. Chiyuki and Tenka is a strong core that provides good passives and mastery combos. In fact, you will almost see Chiyuki on every single dance build nowadays because the conditions for all of her really strong 100% or more passives are very easy for a lot of teams to comply with. Toru and Koito have synergy similar to Chiyuki and Tenka, but have a little less power behind them because they're a bit older. Twilight's Collection Asahi is a solid pickup, but heavily depends on how many copies of her you're able to put together. If you only have one copy of her in total, it might be worth dropping her to run other SSRs that you may be able to get to level 80 much easier than her. However, the more copies you have, the better it'll be. Daikichi is another given, but in this case you may not be relying on her too often with her appeal due to either having Madoka as a center, which means you ideally aren't using your appeals, or you have Madoka in dance position, which means that you're probably using her stronger appeals to deal damage rather than stall with Daikichi specifically. Now, of course, always take into account what you have available. These are just the most popular supports in the higher levels, and it gives you a good baseline as to what you could be potentially building towards in the future. Asahi has plenty of dance options if you're looking for something a little bit cheaper, and even cards like Natsuha, who have been around since 2020, have some very reasonable applications for dance teams like this, and is certainly worth using if you're missing out on some of the other big pieces. On to the scores. As a center, very easy double S. This memory appeal is surprisingly very competent and rivals the damage of many of the 5-member memory appeals while having that -1 to the turn requirement, which is very nice. Attention is by no means difficult to muster together in 2022, especially considering most of what Madoka has on her kit, so it's not surprising to imagine this memory appeal will put in a ton of work for the general player. Build in Grad for level 5 unless you have the ideal step books to make it happen there. As a unit, B+ to double S. Madoka follows all the usual trappings for Twilight's Collection. She's a solid center without much merit otherwise at 0-star, and becomes easily the best piece of support Dance Nocchill has gotten all year, without question at 4 stars. She almost quite literally has everything you would want on a modern card in terms of utility, but you need those extra copies to see it, which can be very rough for some people given the difficulty in getting Twilight's Collection dupes without having a ton to invest into the banners. So, weigh your jewels carefully. But again, I absolutely do recommend pulling this card if you can. And then of course we have Asahi. Our next in line for the Twilight's Collection support setup is Asahi, another pure dance card that puts all of her other dance SSR cards to shame, and rightfully so. She comes with the recently conceived Stay Mastery, meaning she's more likely to stay in the dance room before factoring in your EX skills. She also packs in Room Mastery, making her a prime target for players aiming for step with a dance team. Just don't expect those bonuses until much later into your copies. She's a very basic support at 0 stars, but a real beast of a support at 4 stars. Her support skills are Idol's Bond, which reaches +15 at level 80, as opposed to the typical +10, Rest Boost reaching +3 at level 60, and Stamina Support reaching +5 at level 65. As for her 5 unique support skills, she has Unit Mastery SP reaching +9 at level 65, which means you need 1 additional copy, Dance Stay Mastery, which reaches +2 at level 60, and works its way up to +5 at level 80. Dance Mastery Dance Limit Up, which reaches +6 at level 70, so 2 copies. Dance Mastery Dance Limit Up, which reaches +6 at level 70, so 3 total copies. Dance Mastery Stamina reaching +6 at level 80, but unlocks at level 70, so again, 3 copies to even have that skill. And lastly, Room Mastery, which starts at level 2 at level 75, and works its way up to 5 at level 80. So yeah, a lot of her strong abilities are hidden behind those last 2 to 3 copies, so you'll have to dig pretty deep. Her support appeal does scale. It's a Dance 3.0 out the box, becomes a Dance 3.1 with a Dance 5% buff for 3 turns at level 60, and scales up every 5 levels until it's a Dance 3.5 appeal that raises your Dance by 25% for 3 turns. Her TFD idea is Appeal, her Insight token for Grad is Dance, and her proficiency and landing point is in Mental. Asahi's 0-star passive is a Dance 60% up that requires the turn count to be 3 or earlier. It has a 20% chance to activate twice, and this also comes with a Dance plus 50 uncap. At 1 stars, you unlock her first appeal, a Dance 3.5 that doubles current active Dance effects, that applies a Dance 40% buff for 3 turns, a Dance 20% up for 5 turns, and a Dance 40% down for 3 turns. This also unlocks a Dance plus 50 uncap. Her 2-star passive is a Dance 110% up if you have your full Stray Light lineup, which means that all of Asahi, Mei, and Fuyuko need to be on stage for this passive to be live. It has a 20% chance to activate twice, and this also unlocks a Dance plus 50 uncap. The 3-star appeal is an improved version of the 1-star, a Dance 5.0 that doubles current active Dance effects, applies a Dance 50% up for 4 turns, a separate Dance 50% up for 6 turns, and a Dance 50% down for 4 turns, that also unlocks a Dance Mental plus 50 uncap. Her 4-star is the Rainbow passive, as well as a Dance Mental plus 50 uncap. Said Rainbow passive is a Dance 180% up that requires 4 or more active Dance buffs, specifically Dance Up. It has a 30% chance to activate once, and is limited to once per turn. Let's explain the appeals a little bit, since this is something we didn't get to talk about with Twilight's Collection Fuyuko. The way this appeal seems to work, as we understand it, is that it does not apply on the effects that you use the appeal for. So, I worded that a little weird, so let's break it down. If your character has no current active buffs, which means buffs gained through an appeal, then the double effect from this appeal applies to nothing. However, if you say have a Dance 50% up the turn before you use this appeal, and it's still active when you go to appeal, then it will be treated as a Dance 100% up. So, using Asahi as her own example, if you use her 3-star appeal first, which has the Dance 50 up, Dance 50 up, Dance 50 down, then use her 3.5 appeal, you'll gain the 40% and 20% up, but double both of the 50% ups. As for now, we don't know if this applies to Dance Down. I imagine it probably does in order to make it not completely ridiculous, but just understand that on the turn you use these specific appeals, it doubles any buffs you already have, not any of the buffs that you gain for using the appeal. So that's my PSA. Hopefully you're able to hear all that. And hopefully it also makes sense. It was kind of weird to me too, so yeah, there's a lot going on. For the grades, Asahi gets anywhere, again, from a B+ to a SS. The usual Twilight's Collection issue. You absolutely need Asahi at least at 1 star to get any sort of momentum with this card. 2-star puts her Stray Light powers on full display, while also capping out her stamina support and SP masteries, and brings her Dance Room stamina skill online. It goes without saying that this card is absolutely insane for dance teams right now, and her appeals can enable practically any team if built around it properly, even if the Dance Down effect is purely to enable a near-deceased mechanic Stray Light tried in their first year. I would absolutely recommend pulling for this Asahi if you have the chance to. Just be very mindful that this card really does only work for Dance, but it works especially well for Dance Stray Light. Now, that'll do it for the video today. Thank you so much as always for watching. I've got a couple things planned before the end of the year. I want to do my best to make a step guide before the year is over, and I also want to potentially revisit the original team building guide we did a couple years back. It's kind of crazy to think that we're coming up on a new year, of course, but we've also now had the channel up for 3 years. And I'm kind of amazed that while things have slowed down a lot this year specifically, I'm still doing my best to get everything around with this channel and keeping it active for the most part. So thank you, as always, for all the support over these last couple of years. And I look forward to whatever banner comes next so we can hopefully talk about it. Till next time, I've been Cho, thanks for watching, have a wonderful rest of your day.